In the ever-glowing world of stardom, where whispers move faster than light and rumors are currency, one voice recording set the digital landscape ablaze. It wasn't a scene from a drama, nor a behind-the-scenes clip accidentally leaked. It was something far more personal, raw, and unexpected. The moment it surfaced, the world seemed to hold its breath. And at the center of the storm stood one name: Dylan Wang. It began quietly, as these things often do. Late one evening, a short audio clip appeared on a fan forum, supposedly capturing a conversation that sounded eerily like Dylan himself. The tone, the rhythm, even the pauses carried his familiar warmth. But what turned curiosity into chaos was not the voice. It was the words. Within seconds, translations spread, dissected, reposted. Speculation caught fire. Was this Dylan opening up about a hidden relationship? Or was it just a cruel imitation designed to ignite scandal? Within an hour, the clip had been shared millions of times across platforms. Fans worldwide debated its authenticity. Some insisted it was genuine. His voice, his emotion, his unmistakable cadence. Others argued it was fabricated, an advanced AI mimicry crafted to stir drama. And in that tension between truth and deception, the internet burned bright with obsession. Then came the silence. For nearly 24 hours, Dylan Wang's management remained quiet, a silence that spoke louder than any statement. Every minute of delay was interpreted as confirmation, every unspoken word twisted into new meaning. The world watched, refreshing feeds, waiting for the official response that might either bury or immortalize the clip. When the statement finally arrived, it was not a denial nor a surrender. It was an artful balance between clarity and control. In crisp, deliberate language, Dylan's management addressed the storm. They confirmed that the voice clip circulating online was under investigation. They denounced the spread of misinformation and warned of legal consequences for those perpetuating false narratives. Yet, notably, they did not confirm whether the voice was his. Instead, they spoke of privacy, of respect, and of the dangers of digital manipulation. Their words carried both precision and weight. Every sentence felt crafted to both shield and signal. The tone suggested protection, not just for Dylan as a celebrity, but for him as a human being caught in the relentless machinery of fame. Behind those carefully chosen words lay a quiet admission. Even truth has become fragile in the age of artificial echoes. As reporters rushed to uncover the origins of the clip, new details began to surface. Audio engineers analyzed waveforms, comparing speech patterns, tonal inflections, and background noise. Some experts argued it was unmistakably real, recorded in a quiet setting, perhaps a dressing room or private call. Others claimed it bore the digital fingerprints of AI synthesis, a near-perfect replica of a human voice generated with precision. But the mystery only deepened. Fans began revisiting old interviews, finding parallels in phrasing and tone. They pulled out every fragment of Dylan's past public words, comparing them line by line, searching for a sign, a link, a clue. Each discovery added more fuel to the storm, and with every passing hour, the line between fact and fiction blurred further. Then came an unexpected twist. A second clip emerged, shorter but even more intimate. In this one, the voice, if it truly was Dylan's, spoke softly about trust, about exhaustion, about how fame can feel like being watched through a glass wall. It was emotional, almost confessional. The words were haunting in their vulnerability, resonating with anyone who had ever felt misunderstood in a world that demands perfection. The management's second response arrived swiftly this time. They called it an invasion of privacy, warning fans to refrain from spreading unverified materials. They urged everyone to focus on verified information, emphasizing the immense psychological toll such rumors could cause. They didn't name names, but their tone carried quiet frustration, an unspoken plea for empathy in a digital age that feeds on speculation. Yet something about the public's reaction shifted after that. The initial frenzy began to soften into reflection. For the first time, many fans realized that behind the glamour, behind the staged smiles and red carpets, was a person, vulnerable, tired, and human. The voice, whether real or not, had reminded them of something forgotten, that even stars have hearts that break, and walls that sometimes crack under the weight of expectation. Weeks passed, and the storm began to fade. The clip disappeared from most platforms, taken down under copyright and privacy laws. The hashtags lost momentum, and new stories replaced the old. But the echo of that recording lingered, a ghostly reminder of how thin the line between celebrity and solitude can be. In the months that followed, Dylan Wang returned to public appearances, smiling, composed, but quieter. There was a new gravity to his presence, as though he had glimpsed the cost of fame and accepted it with silent resilience. His management remained vigilant, implementing tighter digital security measures and closely monitoring media activity. Yet, in fan circles, the voice clip became legend. Some still whisper that it was real, that it captured a fleeting moment of sincerity no PR team could ever replicate. Others believe it was entirely fabricated, a masterclass in manipulation. But whichever truth one chooses to believe, the impact was undeniable. It wasn't just a scandal. It was a reflection of our world's hunger for access, of our blurred boundaries between authenticity and illusion. It forced both fans and the industry to confront a sobering question: when does admiration become intrusion? And so, the recording that broke the internet did more than ignite chaos. It exposed a fracture in the foundation of celebrity culture itself. It revealed that in an age where voices can be cloned and emotions can be simulated, the most valuable thing left is truth, raw, unfiltered, and painfully real. As for Dylan Wang, his silence became his statement. He moved forward, continuing his work, his projects, his art. But somewhere behind that calm gaze, perhaps, remains the echo of that voice, a reminder of how quickly a whisper can become a storm, and how one moment of sound can change everything. Because in the grand theater of fame, not all performances are planned, and sometimes the loudest truths are spoken in silence. Months after the uproar, when the noise had faded and the hashtags had lost their grip, the world around Dylan Wang had quietly shifted. What had begun as a viral controversy had transformed into something deeper, a reckoning both for his team and for the industry that thrived on his image. The voice recording might have vanished from the internet's visible layers, but its shadow lingered everywhere, on fan forums, in speculative podcasts, in the quiet murmurs that filled backstage corridors. Every new interview he gave was dissected with surgical precision. Every pause, every subtle smile was measured against the memory of that voice. Was he hiding pain? Was he hinting at truth? The questions were endless. Behind the scenes, Dylan's management had entered crisis mode long after the headlines had moved on. Meetings stretched into dawns. Lawyers, digital experts, and PR strategists filled conference rooms lit only by the blue glow of laptop screens. Their goal was no longer just to protect their star. It was to understand the anatomy of what had happened. How could a simple recording, whether real or fabricated, bring an empire of image to its knees? The investigation unearthed unsettling possibilities. Digital traces suggested the audio might have been altered. Small inconsistencies in tone, compressed frequencies, subtle jumps invisible to the human ear but glaring to experts. Yet there was also evidence that fragments of the voice could have been lifted from genuine materials. Interviews, behind-the-scenes clips, even fan-recorded videos. The final conclusion was chilling. It was both real and unreal, a hybrid creation born of technology and manipulation. Those close to him noticed a shift. He no longer lingered after shoots, no longer smiled as easily in interviews. His eyes carried a quiet heaviness, a guardedness born from betrayal, not by a person, but by the very world that had once adored him. For years, he had given his voice to scripts, to fans, to stories larger than himself. And now that voice had been stolen, twisted, and used against him. In private, friends said he spoke less, listened more. He spent time writing music, something he hadn't done publicly in years. His lyrics, though never released, were described as hauntingly introspective. Some whispered that he had turned his pain into art, a quiet rebellion against the chaos that had once threatened to define him. Meanwhile, his management began reshaping their strategy. Public appearances became more controlled. Media interactions were limited to vetted outlets. But still, his fandom remained fiercely loyal. If anything, the controversy had deepened their attachment. They saw him not as a distant idol, but as a man wronged by a system too hungry for scandal. Fan projects began emerging, focused on positivity, on truth, on protecting their star rather than prying into his life. It was as if the collective conscience of the fandom had matured overnight.